Hello and welcome to the Captain's Table podcast. My name is Paul Berserker01 Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender at the Astropub, your space bar at the end of the universe, your professor at the Astro Historian, and your moderator here on the Captain's Table podcast. This is a podcast that has been going on for 9 years now, talking about Star Citizen, where I bring people from all over the Star Citizen universe to talk about Star Citizen lore, news, and more. This is one of those and more sections. But before we get into the topic, I'm going to start off with Griffin. Who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen? Where can they find you?
Well, I for the first time, as many times I've been on this show, you said I bring people from all over the universe, and you're absolutely right. We are all over the universe. I just want to confirm that statement that you said. I'm with the Soul Citizens, and I'm one of the co-producers, and we do a weekly show on Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, along with my counterpart, FC Fast Cart and Serious Fun, and a bunch of other wonderful people who just really help make Soul Citizens what it is. So, as always, thank you for having me on.
Thank you for coming on. I will say that this whole show, this idea for the show came from Night Cobb, but when I talked about it, Fast Cart reached out to me and told me some background that Griffin had in this subject, and then also asked for himself to come on. So we kind of expanded it for a little bit. So thank you to Fast Cart for suggesting this. It was fun. And thank you to Night Cobb for suggesting this as well, because he forced me to finally actually sit down and fully digest the Aliens franchise, at least the first two movies. So I was told to not
You're
watch.
welcome.
I was told to not watch the third movie.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
All right. So then we've got Mr. Night Cobb. Who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen? Where can they find you?
I am Night Cobb. So once upon a time ago, and we plan to kick it back up eventually, but did Armchair Admirals and Generals, where me and Tirakel and Tree 0311, and then we even had a few other former military Star Citizen streamers and YouTubers and stuff like that come on for guests. We did a podcast basically lending our influence from the military and stuff like that, or our perspective, excuse me, to Star Citizen gameplay and all that kind of stuff. And once upon a time ago, I did YouTube and Twitch content. I still have the channels, and just about every time I come on your show, some poor soul decides to follow my content. And I always get the alert, and I'm like, they showed up just in time for some sad old YouTube videos and Twitch VODs. Good luck to them. And then, I guess the only thing that I really bring was the submarine experience. So, right now, engineering department master chief on board a submarine and stuff like that, and I've been doing that for almost 20 years. So.
Amazing.
I'm not going to ask you about how Star Citizen is realistic in engineering at all, because I'm sure the answer is not. But
it's kind of a shame I'm not going to be on that show. I had a lot to talk about for that one, but I'm going to be on a camping trip that weekend, so okay. I'm going to miss that show. Sorry.
Well, I'll look forward to you drilling us later about the what we got right or wrong about that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. I don't want to delay Fast Cart's trap, so move on to him.
So for those of you who don't know, every single time Fast Cart comes on, he says, "Introduce me last." It's always a trap, but I walk into it because I want to hear what kind of wonderful things Fast Cart's going to say. So
at least you can walk, Paul.
Who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen? Where can they find you, Fast Cart?
The Captain Table, episode Return of the Cart. It is a dark time in the verse. Although IE had struck back, the added turmoil of the attack of the credit card and revenge of the wallet have taken their toll. Debt collectors have driven our heroes from their hidden base and pursued them across the galaxy. Evading the dreaded UEE fleet, a group of freedom fighters have established a new secret base on the remote world of Nyx 1. The evil debt collectors, obsessed with finding Rogue One, have dispatched thousands of remote probes into the far reaches of space. People should know where that's coming from. Anyway, I'm Fast Cart FC. Hope everybody's doing well. I'm part of co-producers of Soul Citizens. We have our show on Sunday at 7 p.m., as I previously said, and I'm happy to be here.
Yes, and that's a great introduction for what we're going to be talking about, because
I thought so.
For those of you who haven't already seen the title, who just clicked it because, Captain's Table, I'm going to watch that, or I'm going to listen to that. Bless you, sir and or madam, for just clicking things randomly without reading the titles. But but the theme of this is the movies that created Star Citizen and the movies that created the verse. So we'll talk about the movies and media franchises that had an influence on the creation of Star Citizen. This came from a couple conversations, but one of the big ones that I think it's important to note is that there was a comment made by CIG themselves, one of the main producers of the game, one of the head of management, during one of the Squadron 42 trailers. I think it was the I Held the Line trailer, that said that Squadron 42 is a love letter to the classic 80s science fiction. And so that's, beyond that, there was also other conversations myself and Nightcop have had about movies and sci-fi franchises and their influence on the evolution of it over time. But I figured that it'd be good to talk about science fiction movies and stuff like that have sort of helped to create both the visual aesthetics and the themes of Star Citizen. So I'm going to start with Fast Cart on this one. Just try to pick one. I know it's difficult to pick one, and then we'll go more in depth about like Scattershot later. But when you think of Star Citizen in terms of like the influences that movies have given on Star Citizen, what is the movie that you think of?
Right now, I'm picking one that probably other people may not pick recently, but I'm going, instead of Star Citizen, I'm going to Squadron 42. There's a shot where the Vandal and the UE fleet are facing each other, and it's reminiscent, almost a frame grab from the movie Serenity, when the Reapers are facing off with the
Federation,
the Federation fleet. So if you put those two side by on top of each other, they almost match. So that's a solid inspiration that they've taken from sci-fi. So I'm going with that one first, even though there's tons of others, but I'm picking that one. That popped into my mind just now.
Well, it's so funny you say that, because before the fans really started to take off with Star Citizen, they wanted to call the Star Citizen universe the Systems. If you actually look at some of the old lore and stuff like that, they originally were internally using the word the Systems was the name of what we call the verse. But we started using the word verse and Into the Black because both of those are heavily used in Firefly. And at the time, especially the early 2010s, Firefly was sort of had just come off of its revitalization. I think Serenity was like 2008, I think.
Yeah, it was
like early to
mid 2000s.
Mid 2000s. So like that was still very much in the zeitgeist. Like people were I'm sure they still do, but there was a large number of people who would dress up for conventions as the brown coats and stuff like that. So
yeah.
Oh, we even got the UE code. That's from Serenity.
That's
Firefly.
Like directly from that, from the freelancer coat was literally a coat, was the brown coat from Firefly. They called it the survival coat. Nightcop, you're gonna pick the one that's your favorite, I know. So, but what's a movie that you think of that had an influence on Star Citizens, either aesthetics or themes?
Man, I really think that he just eats up Star Wars more than most.
You think?
But I mean, we'll talk about Aliens. That's why that's my.
We're gonna come into it because I think Aliens is probably the most important influence on all science fiction gaming in the 21st century. But
Yeah, but I mean, I just think about when he was talking about that scene and that scene match for match, and I think about all the ISC videos that they've done, like when they did the water video and they had the Scorpiuses like cruising over the water, replicating that scene. Yeah. And then, I mean, just you could we can talk about the Alpha Wolf and its laser cannons and how they're pretty much copyright infringement. Like, I mean, they eat that stuff up and it comes out all the time. And I appreciate that for them. I mean, that's a really basic answer. I get it. But there's a bunch of other influences, but I just feel I see them pull from that source material, like so much, so much. And I appreciate it every time they do.
Griff, what's your thoughts?
What a tough one. Yeah, it's a really tough one. The one that probably I can see so many areas of where the influence comes from, but the one that hits me well is, and this goes back a little bit, and it was one of the earlier trailers they did on the Reclaimer. and it was the one where they literally stole that scene from Aliens, where the ship was coming down, and so the Nostromo, and so that I'm like you, Night Cobb. I'm a big Aliens fan, and when they kind of recreated that atmosphere, that just really stuck with me. Like I said, there's a whole lot of influences from sci-fi stuff, which I know we're going to talk about today, but without going to Star Wars, which is kind of a default that I know some people like to go to. Especially after we've got the Wolf and stuff, when people start talking about the Naboo fighters and things like that, but the alien thing for me personally still sticks with me.
Yeah, I just mentioned it so we get out of the way and we can just move on to the others.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
We already know.
We got to do the Afterpub first. The Afterpub first.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say a controversial one, which is my initial reaction was to go straight to Blade Runner, because like the Tyrell building is literally like Lorville. The Lorville Central is literally the Tyrell Corporation headquarters. But instead, I'm going to say something else, which is I think actually does have an influence, at least in terms of the aesthetics and in terms of the way that they do like gangs, which is Escape from New York, the Escape from New York, Escape from LA series, because like they
do the gangs like that.
They do the gangs exactly like Warriors. It's like sort of
like Warriors,
that 80s style. Every gang has its own unique style, and it's got its own unique theme. It's got its own.
That's true.
And I think that, I mean, obviously that's just a trope, but I think especially since the 80s is a huge influence on the aesthetics of Star Citizen, the Warriors and the escape from LA, New York, like the a #1 Duke of New York, kind of stuff like with Snake Plissken, and the sort of like the over the top nature of those movies is very much into like how they deal with a lawless side of the verse. So.
Man, can we talk about Snake Plissken for a second? Just a quick second. Like, what a masterclass of like making you want to know more about a character just by mentioning a couple things, and then just never delivering that background, so that you're just like you're sitting there the whole time you're watching either Escape from New York or LA, and you're like, I kind of want to watch the movie that was where he got abandoned.
From.
Well. He's got ill feelings toward, a few other people. I'm trying to remember the name of the location. They keep referencing it, like Kentucky or Fort Knox or something like that. Yeah. Like he did something or like a robbery, and you're just like, I want to know more.
Yeah.
and then you never get it.
Yeah.
What a great job there. John Carpenter's amazing.
John Carpenter. Yeah. I mean, John Carpenter. I would say his influence on Star Citizen isn't as pronounced as others, but like he's there in the background like a ghost. The Ghosts of Mars, for instance. No, I'm not gonna. That's the worst of his movies.
Oh no,
that's pretty bad.
But like horror is a theme that comes throughout Star Citizen, and it helps that like the main writer, Dave Haddock, is a huge horror fan. Like he's a horror head when it comes to like movies and stuff like that. So, you can see that through a lot of Star Citizen's sort of set. I mean, like this entire year has been. The first half of the year is very action, but like from say July to the end of the year, it's been heavily refocused towards horror with things like the
Doctor Lord York.
Yeah, Dr. Yort's story, but I'm trying to remember the name
ASD?
of the first station. I think it's
the ASD.
Well, yeah, it's Onyx
Pharaoh
is
Centers?
one, but then the other one is ASD.
The Pharaoh Centers?
The Pharaoh Centers, yeah, it's Pharaoh and starts with an L, and I always forget the name of it. Lazarus, thank you, Lazarus.
Yeah.
Like the horror elements of those, like science run amok. It's like CIG is on the nose as typical with the Frankenstein references. Throughout that. So, I think John Carpenter, especially since he's more well known for horror, though, I know him mostly for like his over the top nature, but even though he's like very well known for horror.
He had The Thing, and that was a solid dose in the 80s sci-fi horror franchise, similar to Aliens and stuff like that. Right. So, granted, that's a remake, but it's a I mean, it's a remake good enough that nobody remembers that there was an original in like the 50s or 60s.
Yeah, it was.
Griffin
It,
remembers.
I do.
it
Griffin
was.
I
remembers.
do. I
I got you, Griffin.
But I mean, the original
Well,
was they.
we're in the rarity.
that was
The original's good.
the original was the Thing from Outer Space was what it was
Yeah.
called. So it was like
Yeah, the
one
Thing
of
from outer space.
one of
Yeah.
those original remakes that people forgot the original existed.
Mhm. Sure.
And there's also a lot of that sort of, there's like They Live, which is which is pretty
Ooh,
pretty
What a great
talk
influential.
about it. A great movie. Yeah, we can talk about that.
Y'all are
one.
going to the horror. I'm not a horror head. But
I
when you
wouldn't.
come back to
I really wouldn't say They
This
Live
was
is horror. They
Yeah,
Live
it's
is
horror.
it's much
Yeah.
more action.
Much more real life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the people run away
Once
from
they
that
live
one.
now, and you're like, that reality doesn't look so bad.
Yeah, it's not so much science fiction now. It's not too much in the science fiction realm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like that RoboCop meme where it's like, hey, you guys remember when in RoboCop, corporate America privatized and then underfunded the police department so they could drive down property values and buy up land and stuff like that?
Yep.
Haha, science fiction is crazy.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
How corporate America wanted to buy the entirety of Detroit.
More like science
Oh, yeah.
prophecy. Science prophecy is more like it. It seems like these days.
Here's a science fiction movie for you. Idiocracy. That's a science
Ooh, ooh, yeah.
I don't-
Yeah.
All right, so getting back
I
on
can't watch that movie anymore.
getting back on topic.
It hurts.
We talked about Aliens. I do want to mention, and we'll go over the Aliens franchise because I think it's an important one to understand. I want to mention that Aliens not only has a big influence, Alien and Aliens and the whole series not only has a big influence on Star Citizen, but Chris Roberts himself. Because one of the things that y'all need to understand is that Prometheus was coming out when Chris Roberts was setting up the original pitch for Star Citizen.
Mhm.
That's the reason why it's robertspaceindustries.com and not starcitizen.com, because he wanted to create a sort of semi-ARG the way that Prometheus did with waylandutani.com. And so that was the original reason why. And I don't think he ever got a chance to actually do it because Star Citizen blew up so fast, so quickly. Which is also the reason why I don't think they even have StarCitizen.com, because the person who has StarCitizen.com is currently squatting on it and saying you can purchase it for like $20,000.
Yep.
So
too much money anyway. I don't know how much he charged, but he wants too much.
yeah.
Just get John Crew to draw another concept.
Yeah. Do I do think they have Squadron42.com. But the Aliens franchise, I mean, if you've played everyone who has the Reclaimer knows the Reclaimer is just a Nostromo. It is the Nostromo from almost beat for beat. Like, talk about copyright infringement. It is probably copyright infringement, straight, just that right there. The Wayland-Yutani Corporation is you can see versions of the Wayland-Yutani Corporation everywhere in Star Citizen. ASD is a great example of Wayland-Yutani. Even in its stylings, you can see sort of seeing that. A lot of the corporations in Star Citizen are heavily inspired by that 80s, Tyrell, Wayland-Yutani, and then we were talking about RoboCop. I forgot the name of
Omnicorp.
Omnicorp. They're all
I'm sorry, Omni Consumer Products.
Omni
Yes.
Consumer Products.
Yeah.
the sort of 80s dystopian science fiction / cyberpunk dystopia of like corporate America is here to kill us all. That's like almost all of the corporations in the Star Citizen universe are modeled after that.
Yeah.
So
Even Microtech.
yeah, even Microtech.
That's after.
Oh my God.
What's the name of the Tom Hanks movie that's based on Google?
Oh,
It's like, I'm trying to remember. And
Tom
they're
Hanks movie?
got it. Yeah, Tom Hanks movie came out actually only like, I don't know, 7, 8
yeah,
years
it's
ago.
called something like the Square or the Circle or something like that.
Yeah, like the circle. Yeah, anyway, I always think of that when I think of Microtech now. Because, everybody's like, oh, Microtech's like the good guys. And I'm like, yeah, they're like, not really, though.
The guys in my group will tell you I call it the Apple Store whenever I go over there. So that's how I look at it.
Or yeah, maybe it was Apple, Google. But I mean, like,
Yeah.
we're splitting hairs at that point.
That's about the
It's
store
not
downstairs. What's the store downstairs called? You know, where you go downstairs where you buy
the
your
factory
stuff.
line.
Mhm.
The factory line. Yeah, that's like the Apple store to me when I go down there.
Yeah, true.
So-
Something I wanted to bring up real quick
Go
is
ahead.
the one of the you could see sci-fi's influence on Star Citizen early on in the in Star Citizen history. I want to say 2014, 2015, when the first Constellation commercial came out with the Aquila or Quilla, however you want to pronounce it, with the exploration. They started out with 2001,
Oh yeah.
the several music and throwing up the thing in the air and it turns into the Constellation. So that was a huge influence. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, people were going to remember that Chris Roberts is a cinephile. I call him. I say that he's very similar to Kojima in the sense that I feel like him and Kojima came from the same idea that they're both video game designers who wanted to be filmmakers. It just Kojima's younger than Chris, and Chris managed to actually get to become a filmmaker, and found out why most people don't like being filmmakers because they bomb pretty quickly, especially dealing with producers and stuff like that. When he made Wing Commander, the Wing Commander movie, Timu Kojima, yeah, kind of like that. But him being a cinephile means that like a lot of like Star Citizen's aesthetics are effectively movie references. I mean, he mentioned even some television like Battlestar Galactica is a big influence for him. But I mean, I think that's where it comes like the
Bengal,
the Bengal carrier. Yeah, the Bengal
the
is
Bengal
the
carrier
Battlestar.
looks pretty on point, influenced by the newer BSG more so than the older one.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, it's Chris's his history, particularly for those who have gone back and taken a look at Wing Commander. It was always about storytelling, and he was very cinematic even back in those days in the 80s when that came out. So carrying over a movie style of presenting a film has been a part of what he's done. And there are some people who've been concerned, especially after the Squadron 42 trailer came out, as to how much of that will be incorporated into Squadron 42. Will it be a lot of cinematic stuff or will it be more interactive? But, he is influenced by film. Like, to your point, he definitely is influenced by film.
But I also want to talk a little bit about some of the earlier stuff. We talked a little bit about Buck Rogers, and I'll let Griff talk about Buck Rogers and where.
What? Because I'm the old guy in the room? Is
yes.
that what that's supposed to mean?
Yes, because you were the
What
one
the
who because you watched the original serials, back in the day.
Yeah. I mean, it was just what Paul's talking about is a group of us in Soul Citizens. We spent about maybe 8-9 months watching a variety of films that many of which we had influence on Star Citizen, and it was kind of a tour of science fiction from 1903 all the way until 2015. And one of the first films that was influenced, and it wasn't necessarily because of influencing Chris Roberts, but it had more to do with the fact that it influenced George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, because they grew up watching films like that, and then Chris Roberts was influenced by them. But this was early science fiction, and once you start watching that, and as you take this walk through science fiction, you start to see how these things carry over to when you get to places like a Star Trek or a Starship Troopers or Aliens, and you can see how even those writers were influenced by many of these early films, some of which were even silent films. So the influence is there, over the years in science fiction, and there are some times when CIG is very original in the concepts that they have, and then there are other times where you definitely see influences in things that they may design. I remember the first time I saw the Aurora. I'm sorry, the Aurora doesn't look like anything that reminds me of anything. But then when I saw the Avenger, I immediately thought of the space shuttle. So, you can see these original points sometimes, and you can see these influential points at times. And you definitely see that coming from both, to Cobb's point, real life and film. You can see it in both those areas.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna let Nightcub talk about Aliens, because I think I think Aliens is probably one of the most influential movies of all time in terms of science fiction, especially if you want to know anything about a video game that's produced that has any science fiction elements in the last 40 years. It's Aliens. Tell us about Aliens, Night Cop.
Tell us about Aliens.
Why do you like Aliens?
Now, are we going with Alien or Aliens? I just want to make sure I know which one we're talking
Aliens.
about.
That's what I asked,
both.
right?
I can do both.
Okay.
You can do both. Okay.
I can do both. I mean, what you alluded to it earlier. Like, I think they drew from Alien. They like the IP. I mean, to begin with, but you can tell they kind of stick with the first two movies where it comes to that IP, and I don't really blame them. But the Nostromo obviously is represented by the Reclaimer. But man, when they did the Valkyrie, you know, they were picking out the dropship off the Sulaco, and they were dialing in to Aliens there, and you know, respect to them on that, because that was a good ship design. It was very it was grounded but like futuristic at the same time, and it had this very real quality to that dropship. Even the Sulaco, although they have not really done anything off the Sulaco, although you might be able to make an argument that
Battlecruiser, it's coming up. It's going to be the Sulaco, guarantee it.
If it looks like the Sulaco, or it heavily draws reference from the Sulaco, then that's a solid win. Yeah. But I would actually argue the Orion from the concept art that I've seen doesn't look that far off, at least in the similar shape design kind of thing. But you know, that series, and not only have like the weapon sounds, it was very distinctive, and it just created a great tone. And you know, you really got to love, like, you know, the corporation, you know, Wayland Yutani. Everybody call it. I like how they all could just call it the corporation and stuff like that in the film. But you know, it all sparks a vibe that just feeds right into the dystopia of Star Citizen, because that's that dystopian, like, hey, we're out colonizing stuff, but it's not really all great.
Yeah,
you know, there's a lot of stuff out in the universe that just wants to kill us, and or the deadliness of space. And, you know, so much so that we develop these colonial Marines that have to go out and deal with problems and stuff. Yeah. And then, I mean, that movie, just talk about a trendsetter for a tone.
Yeah.
We could talk about Aliens for a long time. I could do an entire dissertation on how valuable that movie is. By the way, yeah, go ahead.
No, you go, because I'm going to go simply about the Alien. So go ahead.
Okay, I'll do one thing. This is something that drives me insane, right? So we talk a lot about like equality in terms of like actors and actresses and all that, and like giving people like due diligence for like a character and a role. And I think about Ellen Ripley as one of the most strongest like female characters like ever written. And I mean, like, the movie is like semi-annual maintenance for me anyway, but like, I think of the scene when she's going down to rescue Newt in the elevator, and she's like prepping herself, and she just has this like moment where she like centers herself after she gets the guns, you know, taped together and all that kind of stuff. And man, she's just like, what a badass character. Carried over between two films. Also Vasquez. Somebody mentioned Vasquez. Yeah, you can't not like Vasquez. But yeah, it's just such a well-written character. And in the 80s, it doesn't matter who you are. And even now, I know it doesn't matter who you are. I feel like you've got to respect and adore Ellen Ripley as a character. Like, true badass.
Yeah. And the fun story about that is, you know how she came about?
I remember watching like
they didn't know what gender she was going to be. They just said Ripley. The original name was just Ripley. And so
Ripley,
and the writer just couldn't figure it out. And I think Ridley Scott also just like, I have no idea what gender. So they wrote it as if it was a man, but then when they came to actually like film it, they're like, we could cast a woman. And so the idea is that if it, like in the first Aliens, they only had to change a little bit of dialogue here and there to make it work for a woman, but it was basically unchanged from the original concept of her. And so that stuck so hard with so many people that's why she continued to be basically the same character throughout. It's just like what a 1970, late 70s, early 80s, like typical male action star would be, just happens to be, you know, a woman, sort of thing. So
we're all gonna pretend that Alien Resurrection didn't happen, right? I'm just asking.
Well,
I don't think we need to pretend it didn't happen. I mean, it's just it's largely inferior
yeah.
to the other
Yeah.
movies in the IP.
Yeah.
That's what's unfortunate.
I was gonna say one thing. Atlas suit, straight up from Alien.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's another example. Is the ATLS like suit? They even use the freaking reference. Where do you want it? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bay 12,
I was going to
please.
say, I was going to say to your point about the character, there was also the evolution of the character too. You know, because if you had to look at that crew in the beginning, it's not like there was anything that would have made you think that Ripley would have been the standout character in the end, right? Yeah. And so you watch this evolution of someone from that crew who evolved over time. And you mentioned, you know, you saw those moments of vulnerability. You saw those moments where she said, I got to do what I got to do. And we saw that kind of grow between those two films. But I was going to say, though, and I know you'll know about this, Night Cobb, was it's unfortunate. And, you know, when stuff hits the cutting room floor, there are things that, you know, get cut out. In the original theatrical release, we never saw why the people were sent to LV 426, right? We didn't know what the whole reason was. We just kind of heard about the colonization. But if you saw the director's cut of it, you saw the corporate greed side of it and how it all got started. And it was that was a great scene. I hated that they cut that scene out with when the family goes out in the vehicle and they find the egg and everything. It was sad that they cut that. I get it. Sometimes movies get too long, but I was thinking about that in relation to Star Citizen, how there are these certain things that, you know, come and go, and we don't get to see everything sometime and understand why. And this recent thing that's happened with Nix is an example of that. That sometimes we see the original format, in other words, the original star map, and we think this is the way something is.
Yeah.
And then later on, we start getting the other pieces of it and stuff starts to make sense, right? Why some things might be changing and happening. And so I'm kind of trying to remain open to how they develop Star Citizen, because sometimes certain things, you know, when you have them for 10, 12 years, they become Bible almost to you. You know what I mean? And when you start changing stuff, it's like, hey, what are you doing? You know, you're messing with the story. But I'm trying to give the narrative team that room to expand and explore, you know, and take us to another place that maybe we didn't expect, you know.
Well, I don't think we'll have that issue with Squadron 42 because we saw in 2016 how thick that script is. They it's like a phone or two phone books, basically.
I want Squadron 42 to be unpredictable. I don't want to know where it's going to go. You know what I'm saying? I want them to have that liberty to take us someplace, because I don't want to think, oh, it's this, that, and the other, and all we have to do is this, and we're just going to have a fight with the Van Duel and it's over. You know what I mean? I want to expand.
But my point is, I don't think we have to worry about them cutting anything out of it.
Oh yeah.
They're going to cut something. They're going to cut something. That script was too big.
Yeah, there's probably some stuff that has been cut. Almost certainly.
Yeah, something's going to get edited. Yeah. I mean, it's still going to edit, you know.
It's just funny because you come back to that. It's. I think this kind of comes back to the general cyberpunk influence on specifically the designers. Like, obviously, you've got the Tyrell Corporation with the Tyrell Tower, Tyrell Building, and you've got Central in Lorville, which are very similar. But like equally so, Area 18 is a huge like cyberpunk sort of mega city sort of influence.
That's why I live there. Absolutely.
I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh, Coruscant." I'm like, I think Coruscant has some sort of influence on like the fact it's a city, but I think that's more influenced by the fact that it's a corporation.
Yep.
I mean, we haven't mentioned it yet, but I'm on Microtech because it's more of a Star Trek field for me.
Yeah, and we'll talk about Star Trek here in a moment, especially with like Genesis and stuff like that. Go ahead, back up.
Man, and you're, like I'm sorry, I'm just like getting over that he's referencing Star Trek 6. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
When they're sent, when they're sent to the ice planet prison.
Yep.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Sure.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's a good one. It's a good movie. I just that's something people reference very often.
Country. Yeah, I love Undiscovered Country. That's one of my favorites. Yeah,
that's one of my favorites. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, R-Corp definitely. Blade Runner is one of my top 3 of sci-fi, you know, within, like, to say the 80s, 90s of films that I would pick. And I remember when we first got Hurston, I thought about it because of the building, you know, the Hurston building. But once I walked the streets of R-Corp, I felt like that was more like the San Francisco in the future kind of look. You know, you've got the Asian lettering and all types of cool things in there. So I really want to see that get fleshed. I can't wait till the redoing of R-Corp happens. That is one thing I really want to see happen.
Yeah, it's almost like they melded like Blade Runner with Ghost in the Shell.
Yes.
Made hardcore.
yes.
Yeah, okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
one of the things
Which
I really like them to do is with like Lorville, because another obvious influence is Judge Dredd, because that was just a classic '80s sort of. Yeah,
Stallone.
with the original Stallone, but I mean,
You scratch my tism there.
Yeah.
I'm down. Let's talk about Judge Dredd.
but I mean, Judge Dredd is clearly an influence because it was such a huge influence in the '80s. Like, yeah, they did the Stallone movie, but wasn't the Stallone movie in the '90s? I don't want to say it
Yes.
was the '80s.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, it was early '90s, but yes.
Hardcore People's Night City. You can't not look at the influence of something like Night City and the cyberpunk TPT-RPG in that same time period. Because I mean, Night City is not unique. It's just a copy of like L.A., San Francisco, sort of on its own. Because like Mike Pondsmith is from the Bay Area, the San Francisco Bay Area, in the '80s, and he was just whenever people talk to Mike Pondsmith about like, well, how did you know all these things? He's like, it was going on when I was a kid in the Bay Area. Like, I'm just writing what I already knew and just added some cool science fiction stuff, which was being popularized because of all of the cypherpunk and the other movements in the San Francisco Bay Area, which were also tech focused for it. But what I really want to see is like from Lorville is that mega city sort of vibe with Lorville, because I feel like that's what they're going for, is that sort of mega city, overgrown, rundown, dusty, like the giant walls, for instance, which keep out the wastes, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just sort of
living in the shell of the old world that we obliterated with our weapons of mass destruction.
Yes.
Right? It's very apt.
So they just, I think that I would love to see them when they eventually get a chance to redo the interior sections of Lorville. I want to see them that kind of that sort of vibe going on. What I was going to say as well is we already kind of know that there's some of that corporate distrust, that the corporation thing going on in Squadron, simply because of that great scene where we walk in on Captain White talking to the head of the Shubin station. And, and it finishes up as like, "You're right, Colton. That man is an ass." You know. Like there's clearly some of that corporate '80s like don't trust corporations sort of thing going on there.
And the actor that they got to play Middleton, right?
Yeah.
That's the actor. I mean, he's always played, not always, but he's typically played bad guys, and you know.
He's going to be some sort of bad guy. He's going to be some sort of antagonist at the very least. You know?
Right.
You know.
I throw another ship in real quick to you. Do you guys remember the movie 2010?
Yes.
Do you remember the Russian ship that they used when they went out? Remember that one?
Yeah.
It kind of had a weird reminding of, you're talking about the not the Nostromo, the Salaka. But I was thinking about the design on that one. Remember, they had the whole thing where they had to come out to Jupiter and slow the ship down by doing the big loop thing. But that heavy industrial look is what I was thinking about when you mentioned about the Orion, the Reclaimer. You still have that very brutalistic kind of design to those type of ships. And I thought that was another interesting design for large scale, kind of expedition ships. I think
you could argue the Hull series but you could argue the Hull series kind of like adopts a little bit of that same design language.
Yeah.
When I think about the Endeavor concept, I'm thinking about 2001.
Yeah. It's very similar to the was it the Odyssey? I forget
the Odyssey.
Yeah.
The Odyssey. It was the Odyssey. Yeah.
Another we'll see. I think we'll see it even though it's not references a lot. I don't see a lot of references to it, but which is gosh, it just the name slipped my mind. It's the one where the interior of the spaceship is like a cathedral. And it's it's a horror movie. It's got Sam.
Event
Horizon. Event Horizon. Yes.
Yeah, Event Horizon.
That's one of those few that we haven't seen like influences of. I don't think so much in Star Citizen, but I wouldn't be surprised if it creeps its way in at some point.
Oh, yeah, not yet.
Well,
but
what should creep in it is the creepy. That's what should creep
Yes.
into it, is the creepy side of it. When you start running into something that's the unknown kind of aspects, that's what I would love to see from something like an event. I don't need anybody's eyes turning black and freaking out, but I could do some freaky stuff.
I could see CIG doing that because of the whole like the stuff they're leaning into with Yorit, the story of Yorit, and like the crazy things they're doing with interspace and other things like that. So, yeah.
By the way, I have some mini films here listed to you chronologically, and we're kind of chopping through them a little bit. You went to Blade Runner.
Yeah.
I wanted to stay 2010.
I want to stay around the 80s because
that's where I'm at. I'm in the 80s. Yeah, I'm around the 80s.
I mean, the classic is Dune. But I mean, where I don't really see Dune, other than that Dune is the most influential science fiction, aside from Starship Troopers, that has ever been made. In terms of like, everything is based off of one of those two has been influenced by one of those two prospects in some way.
Yeah. I mean, to me, when I go to some of the settlements, the new settlements that we have in the game in Pyro,
yeah,
not that it's Dune-ish, but the fact that you can have this, what feels like a very nomadic, out in the desert kind of scenario, it mixed in with technology simultaneously, is the thing that I liked a lot about that. Well, everything doesn't have to be glossy like Microtech. You know what I mean?
The classic reference I've just blanked on my mind, and I'm like, wait, the Valakar. But that's
the Valakar.
Which is the reference.
Yeah. For the longest time, it was the sandworm, right? That was what we called it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait until we could use our voice to make attacks. That's what I'm looking for.
The weirding way.
Yeah. And obviously the vibrations thing is still a factor, right? From Dune, it's the same thing, with calling out the worm, supposedly. Supposed to be a thing. 1984. Last Starfighter, 1984.
All right.
Furies. I mean, that's the Furies. The what do they call the ships? What do they call them in there?
Gunstars.
Thank you, the Gunstar.
Mm-hmm. Gunstars are the Guardian. Are the Guardian.
Yeah, are the Fury. Right. Yeah. Goes to Babylon 5, right?
Babylon 5, right.
Yeah. But I mean, the Guardian itself is very much the Gunstar. If you look at
it's a cross between the TIE fighter and a TIE defender. And the Gunstar.
Yeah, but it's just those huge arms otherwise, because like the Gunstar is actually a little bit smaller in terms of its size. But
yeah, the day we get Death Blossom in Star Citizen is going to be an interesting day.
Honestly, I expect there to be probably more Last Starfighter influences in Squadron than Star Citizen, simply because it's that sort of like, hey, by the way, guess what? You're now the hero. Come join us. You're going to have to go defeat the evil empire kind of thing. Just getting kidnapped and go to fight sort of the war sort of thing. It's much more Squadron concepts, but,
Yeah. Well, so, you could tell even from his Wing Commander movie, he loves that idea that Star Wars started with the idea that, somebody from nowhere can climb in a single seat fighter and, make a huge difference in some large scale galactic conflict, and Last Starfighter eats that up. His Wing Commander obviously ate that up, and Star Wars kicked it off, and it's just been a popular model ever since. And it just feels like that's what he wants out of Squadron 42, because the 80s I find the 80s in terms of science fiction so interesting in general as a genre, because we had really, like, if you watch 80s science fiction, you're like, we had two outlooks on the future. We were either going to kill ourselves and live in the dystopia of the old world, or the dystopia of we had to go out and colonize space and it's not going so well for us, or it's, still a massive struggle, or, we're going to have flying cars. We're going to be the captain of our own starfighter, saving the galaxy, like this incredibly upbeat, positive, like anything is possible for us. Or nothing, and we're doomed. And it's just like, man, you bounced on those spectrums. It's Terminator, or it's the Last Starfighter. Back to the Future, or Mad Max. One of the other guys. That's how it's going to play out for us.
You mentioned Terminator, but the lack of AI and computer assistance in the Star Citizen universe, that I don't. How do I want to put this? I'm turned off a bit by that because I'm hoping to see more computer assisted software in the future. But the fact that it's missing an Star Citizen kind of turned me off a little bit. But maybe it's probably a personal preference for me because I use voice attack and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So I get it from other sources. But the fact that it's in the lore, I know why because AI turned bad because people can't program it properly. If you find
Yeah.
proper programmer, you'll be fine.
It's more the AI in Star Citizen is more thematic to war games than it is to than other science fiction, where it's like the AI isn't evil going to kill you all. It's just incompetent and doesn't know the difference between reality and fiction, and will as a result kill people by accident rather than by intent. And that's sort of like and I know the reason why behind that is because Chris Roberts doesn't want people to use assistance technology. He wants people to
engage
interact with stuff. He wanted people to actually flip switches and stuff like that. So
I like that. I don't know. I'm a big analog, tactile kind of person anyway. So I appreciate that nostalgic. I love flipping switches and pressing buttons. Touching the touch screen on my phone does not deliver the same level of satisfaction. That's a me problem. But
no, I don't think it is. I wish that they gave CIG always says this about giving options.
Right.
And for me, that's what I would want them to do. Right. I mean, there are some ships that are cut. Like, I'm not a Drake person, but I love when you go onto the Corsair or the what's the new ship called? The
Clipper.
The Clipper. And it's got the actual mechanical lever there that goes back and forth. I mean, to me, that's very cool. And at the same time, though, I would love to get onto my 400i and it's all glass panels and it's a touchscreen. I would love for that distinction to exist from one extreme to the other throughout the game, and it's not limited to one or the other, but it's appropriate to whatever the type of ship is or vehicle that you're driving. Lynx could have a more electronic feel where the Ursa has a more mechanical feel. That would be very cool to me.
I back to Aliens too. That was. Oh, I'm sorry, Pascal. Go ahead.
I prefer the more touch screen features, like you probably like Origin and stuff like that, or maybe like Crusader's kind of in the middle, but yeah, the Drake stuff that's too analog for me. In 2930.
We're gonna say NetCom?
2955 now.
But think of it this way though, in films, not to be funny, but Alien, for example, or Aliens was as analog as you could get.
He's going exactly where I was gonna go. I was like, Alien, the influence is like that was sci-fi analog.
Yeah, really.
It's actually a word for it. It's called cassette futurism. I use it a lot. Cassette futurism is the term.
Yes.
We call it retrofuturism now, but it was called cassette futurism at the time because apparently I looked up the actual distance. It's actually from the 1960s until the 1990s. Was called because the idea was like cassettes and a magnetic tape had been around since the 60s as a storage medium, and so like it's sort of the what can we do with this fancy new portable device, which is to us a joke because it's the size of a monitor to store like information. Like this has a whole 1 megabyte of memory, kind of thing. So it's what Tron always throws me off. It's just like, oh god, I'll say that's one influence I don't think exists in Star Citizen is Tron. I don't think Tron really.
I was going to mention. I see Tron in Star Citizen.
Where?
Some of the armor had the neon stuff on it.
I guess so.
Some of the outfit.
Some of that neon striping.
That's definitely a Tron influence. Yeah.
One could argue the Apo and Nox is also kind of dipping into that.
A little bit of influence there. I mean, the Ranger, the whole bike thing is the thing, too.
The Ranger is Akira. Like I don't think Chris is a huge fan of anime, but you can't get away from Akira. Akira is one of those influences.
One of the reasons I'm looking forward to the Ranger is because I want to do my motorcycle slide just like the movie. I'm hoping that they put that in somehow, but we'll see.
But yeah, like cassette futurism is a huge influence on Star Citizen. But I think CIG likes to, as Execute likes to always bang in my head. CIG is developing the game with levels of industry, so it's like you have very basic up to highly advanced, And so like the basic ones are just super dystopian, post-apocalyptic almost sort of approach. And then you've got like your cassette futurism, you've got your more modernism, and you've got your like science, like holograms and all those other sorts of like crazy high tech sort of approach. And each of those techs are going to have their advantages and disadvantages. Like the lower the tech is likely to be less susceptible to EMPs and other sorts of those sorts of things, whereas the higher tech will be less susceptible to like physical damage and stuff like that, or something to that degree. It's clear that they've been adding a tech hierarchy for design and hopefully for gameplay, but we'll see.
That throw you back to something you said earlier. I know you said you wanted to touch on it because we're getting there, 1989 or 87. But you mentioned about Star Trek. I was curious what direction you wanted to go about that.
Well, I think Star Trek is
Genesis.
Yeah, Genesis, but that's
Your soundbite is an earworm.
But it's on the nose with Genesis. Like Genesis is not just the name of the technology. In fiction, they call the company that's using the technology Genesis Terraforming. Like it's on the nose, but it's also, I think, when it comes to exploration, Chris and the Star Citizen in general, like CIG in general, is taking huge doses of Star Trek. Like RSI for a while was what I used to call the Utopia Planitia design. The nacelles, like rounded edges, less angular. More modern RSI is much more angular, but like you can even see it in modern RSI with the big nacelles on the outsides for propulsions, and like the Apollo is peak like
the Mantis, they got the design,
Meteor.
The only place you don't really see it is like the Aurora. That's like probably the only place you don't see
and I'd argue that the Aurora's influence is probably more like the old shuttlecraft. It's got that sort of angular nose similar to the old shuttles of like the original series and the Next Generation.
The Galileo.
Yeah. So
I say Pisces is laying claim to like Star Trek.
Oh yeah.
So, like shuttle design.
I think RSI originally the Aurora was supposed to have that sort of shuttle design, and then they just because the Carrack is an explorer, they gave it the Star Trek shuttle, and I think even when you see their ads for the various exploration ships from the Aquila to the Carrack, it's all like, while the Aquila did have its 2001 inspiration, everything else is very Star Trek. In terms of
Coffee Gaming said something that didn't hit me either. He said like Space 1999 with the Aurora. And you kind of think about a little bit of that there too. The design is interesting design for that ship as well.
This would be a good topic, like the different design influence for the spaceship that are in Star Citizen. Like a lot of people felt like the early freelancer, when Star Citizen first came out, we didn't have as many ships as we have now. We have like 185 ships now, but back in the day when it first started, only had like 6 or whatever. A lot of people thought that the freelancer was like a Serenity influence. Later on, now people are saying like the Kirk is more like the Serenity influence interior-wise, not exterior-wise.
Yeah.
But you got the Scorpius, X-Wing.
Yeah.
You already talked about the Guardian and the Fury. That's the Star Fury or Babylon 5 or the Gunstar, as you said. A whole bunch of sci-fi influences with different ships. You already talked Naboo, the Wolf.
Yes. Well, and I think the Naboo is sort of by accident, because CIG tends to pull a lot of different references. That's one of the reasons why I said Buck Rogers, is because like it is very Buck Rogers. The Wolf and Kruger is very Buck Rogers in its origin. The sleek, I don't even know what it was called back then. We call it, everything is just lumped into retrofuturism today, but I guess it was like the like nuclear futurism. We're talking like 1930s to like 1950s sort of sleek designs. You can kind of see that in
it's the Jetson. It's the Jetson.
The Jetson aesthetic, yeah.
Yeah.
where it's like the future is going to be chrome and smooth, and everything's going to be rocket fins,
shiny,
and
a little retro feel to it.
Yeah.
I'm blanking on the name, but the B-wing is reminiscent of the low cost misstep.
Yeah, the Reliant.
The Reliant.
Or
The Reliant.
Yeah, the Reliant.
I just assume it's always a Tana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anybody's flying the
Absolutely.
other ones. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. That's a cool one. Yeah. Night Cobb, I got one to mess your head up for the future. You ready for this? 1989, and a music I know, a movie I know you remember, The Abyss, right?
Oh yeah, big fan of The Abyss.
What if the Kruger Stingray was a submersible ship? The Kruger Stingray was submersible.
I was actually that was actually the first design. I mean, I thought about you're talking about the alien design.
Well, I'm just saying they're saying the new Kruger ship is called the Stingray, and I said, what if it was actually a submersible in some type?
I don't think it would be, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was.
I don't say it would be. I'm just saying I think it would be cool for us to have a submersible ship that goes underwater.
The spoiler.
The forest at the bottom of the sea was like that. Remember, it had the flying sub. That would be really cool.
I mean, that's kind of what I think is like. I think they would steal that design language though.
Yeah.
Of the submerged because they were like almost like alien spacecrafts. They were just down in the water. But they had one that was very Stingray-esque. And that was actually when they said it was the Stingray, I was like, I'm like in my head immediately was like thinking of The Abyss in that scene when they're picking up Ed Harris. Yeah, Ed Harris for that. Great film, by the way.
Yes, especially the director's cut. Director's cut again. Check it out
again. And James Cameron.
James Cameron. Yeah, it's actually funny because it was the movie that got James Cameron into submersibles, and it also is the movie that made James Cameron say, "I'm never working in real water ever again," because he nearly died. Like the actors and himself nearly died.
Killed the crew. The cast. They had a whole lot of crazy stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say the cast hated James Cameron in The Abyss.
Because it's literally the most dangerous environment. Yeah, like outside of space, which nobody's filming out there. Not yet, anyway. Or at least not for regular movies. So
listen, filming in a nuclear tank was dangerous enough. So it was a lot, like you said. They pushed them.
I think the only reason why the cast didn't quit is because James Cameron actively put himself in the same environments while they were doing it. It's just why he hated it. So, which is funny because he ended up doing Titanic. So, which is like, get
more water.
I was going to finish off by saying, like, there are also notable gaps from that sort of era, from the 70s to the 90s, that were influential for Star Citizen. There's gaps where it's clear that the CIG doesn't take from that, but they were very important. Because we can talk about Starship Troopers, but I don't think Starship Troopers has nearly as much influence on Star Citizen as people think. I think beyond your service guarantees citizenship sort of mantra, but I think that's more of a taken from the book style rather than from the movie. Because like there's really nothing in there that I can see other than maybe the propaganda you see with the UEE. But
propaganda,
yeah, signing up, getting in, for like Invictus and
Would
stuff.
Would you like to know more?
Yeah. That's more like World War II, which is what that movie was aping off of in the first place. But but like
it's still on the Navy reading list.
Is it?
Yeah, really? Wow.
Yeah, it is.
I know it was on the Marine reading list, but yeah.
It's a weird like why it's on there. It really talks about it's because I would say like half that book deals with the transition from enlisted to officer and like how he goes through that and that change in leadership style and class lifestyle, that kind of caste system kind of within the military itself. It's weird. I don't know. It's been on the Navy reading list ever since I've been in the Navy, and I'm always amazed because I read it pre-joining, and it's a weird bite to be like, you want me to read this? All right. I'll read it.
Yeah.
Here, Paul, I'm gonna name a bunch of '90s films, and if you guys see anything you want to talk about, because you already touched on a couple of them: Stargate, Independence Day, Event Horizon, Fifth Element, Starship Troopers, Armageddon, Deep Impact, Sphere, and Galaxy Quest.
I don't think a lot of those have references like in Star Citizen. The only one I can think of is another one, which is Soldier. But I don't know if that was a 90s movie or an 80s movie.
That's
forgot
90s.
about
It's
that
like
one.
literally 1990.
1990.
Yeah.
I forgot about that
man,
one.
that's quality.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot
Soldier
about Soldier.
is a huge one, only because it has connections to Blade Runner.
Yeah.
The writer of Blade Runner was the same guy who wrote Soldier, and so he intentionally wrote like scenes and elements. Like I think if you look at the background of, was it Kurt Russell who played Soldier, or was that somebody else?
Yeah, it's Kurt Russell.
So
it's also, by the way, nobody knows this. That is Bruce Lee's son.
Yeah.
Brandon.
No, not Brandon. Jason.
No?
Jason Lee.
Brandon's dad.
Brandon's dad.
Jason Lee.
Brandon dad. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's Jason. Yeah, it's Jason, or Jason Scott Lee, I think is his actual name. But
is that? I didn't know that was his son.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. It's crazy that you got.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was right after he did, or right before. I can't remember. He did like Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, but he did Soldier right around that time. That was kind of his like trying to break into the film, and it's kind of a shame. He has like 4 lines in that.
Yeah.
Jenny Tonic brought up a good point. Shadow Ball from End of the Game. That was like the 2015 PAX East demo that they did, and I was and I was there and I saw it live. I'm like, how are they going to get away with that? And turned out they did. They took it out.
Chat saying that Jason is not Bruce Lee's son.
I thought he was, or he's like half.
Maybe he's related. I don't know.
Related, I thought. Now you guys got now. Now I got to look, guys.
Holy smoke!
He played Bruce Lee in the biopic.
Paul, the reason why I was going back to the Independence Day thing was this thing with the Van Duel technology thing.
Okay. Oh yeah.
The science when they captured the alien ship in Independence Day.
Why was I thinking he was his son?
That was the only reference I was going with that particular one.
I mean, I think
the scientists.
I think
trying to.
Yeah. There's
with alien technology.
There's that scene of the Aopoa Nox being held up by chains, and the concept art, which is obviously referencing the scene from Independence Day. But I mean, I think like the Van Duel and the Van Duel definitely do have their spear weapon, which is clearly
I didn't think about that.
Which is clearly a Stargate reference. But the Van Duels, the Van Duel ships are based off of the Kilrathi ships, and the Kilrathi ships are based off of Cylon ships. Like they're Cylon Raiders, down to their design. It's clearly,
well, even the Alpha Wolf has got like the Cylon Raider like almost profile visor. If you look at it straight on, with the visor.
Yeah.
And you know what influence I wish they would bring into the game? Zardoz. We need some of those truths that Sean Connery wore in Zardoz.
Yeah. Yes, we need that. We need Zardoz outfits, CIG. Please make those outfits for the Fire Rats. I would kill so much for CIG to do Zardoz outfits for Fire Rats. That would fit them so well, and it would make so many people uncomfortable. It would be great.
I'm curious about how many people in chat actually get that reference.
Fun fact.
A lot of people have seen that film.
Fun fact about that film: it's bizarre but good. It's a bizarre good film, but
I would say bizarre. I don't know about good.
It's good. It's good film. It's very artsy in its design.
Okay.
But the
that's a product of the 70s. A lot of them were artsy back then.
Oh yeah. But apparently Sean Connery signed on because it was weird. Because it was pitched to him, he was like, "This is the weirdest thing I've ever heard of. I'm doing it." Like he actively did it because it was going to be weird, and he knew he was going to be in weird outfits. He's like, "Why not? Let's go for it." So
I almost just hope though he signed up for it, and then they showed him like in wardrobe the outfit that first day, and he was just like, "Oh, yeah, okay, screw it, let's do it."
That's funny.
Spoilers! It's a 50-year-old movie.
Yeah.
It goes back.
Go watch it. Don't watch it with your kids.
Spoilers.
That's all I'm gonna say.
No, it's like Barbarella.
Yeah.
Oh my God! See, Nightclub went there. I didn't, cat. I'm just letting you know.
What? Well, I mean, it's like legitimate sci-fi film,
Yeah.
kind of.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
That's the other trend that we don't see a lot of from the 80s movies that I think it's important. There's two things that I think that people need to know about in terms of influence, in terms of that aren't influencing Star Citizen. One is anime, outside of like Akira, but that was like
Ghost in the
everywhere.
Shell.
Ghost in the Shell, yeah, which are huge influences for cyberpunk, sort of storytelling. Is that sort of future barbarian storytelling that was gone all over the place. It started with Conan, but it was like, there's the one that was
Star Hunter is
Star
immediately
Hunter.
what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, there's
And Enemy Mine.
Enemy
We don't
Mine.
talk about Enemy Mine yet, but
Enemy Mine, yeah. Good
Ooh.
movie.
hold on. Yeah, Star Hunter. I want to say it's Star Hunter. Hold on.
There's another
like,
one
look
which
now.
was a famous one where it's like
Fuck. Oh, it's
Thundar?
Space Hunter.
Was it-
Space Hunter. Adventures in the Forbidden Zone.
yes,
That's the one.
yes, that one. That one. That's what I'm thinking
With
of.
with what's her name from 16 Candles.
Yes.
Molly Ringwald
Yeah.
one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got one for you. It's not a movie, but it's a TV series. V for Visitors.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's sort of
Visitors.
what I'm saying is like those sorts of things just really aren't really influences in Star Citizen. So you don't see them there, and I don't even see them in the Squadron. I don't bring them as like the negative answers of like 80s science fiction. When CIG says the love letter to 80s science fiction, they mean a very narrow slice of 80s science fiction
Yeah.
because it gets weird in the 80s. The 80s went weird with a lot of science fiction, sort of trailing off the 70s.
To be fair, no, I gotta say, to be fair, the 70s was weirder
Yes.
than the 80s.
Macross, sadly, I don't think Chris Roberts ever watched Macross. He might have actually be interested in Mecha if he watched Macross. Who wouldn't want
Yeah,
an
I don't see the-
who
I
wouldn't
don't
want a
see the
space
influence there.
F-15 that turns into a robot? I mean, come on.
I do. But yeah. Yeah, I don't see. Transformers also, you don't see that much influence in that respect, unfortunately.
I don't know. They had that one armor they put out recently that looked kind of Transformerish to me with all the blocky stuff all over it. The armor.
There's
that they
one.
did.
The Raylan does kind of transform or convert. So that one,
Yeah.
at least the concept. I don't know if they're
Well,
gonna be like that
all
with
the
Red Team,
Apoa
but the
ships
concept.
all do that. All the Apoa ships do all the weird, triggering thing.
All right, so now it's film recommendation time. I'm gonna have you all suggest one film.
It's not enough time.
One film, or maybe
God.
most two films that you want everyone to see if they want to understand the aesthetics or the themes of Star Citizen. I'm going to start with you, Fast Card.
Dang it. You got me off guard. I need this list so a question so I have to be more prepared. The one film people should see to understand more Star Citizen better. Screw it, I'll say Serenity.
Serenity? Okay.
It's a
That's
good pick.
That's a good pick.
Nobody's gonna lose out watching that film.
No.
You should watch Firefly first, though.
Yeah.
Well, yes, true.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's 13 hours you won't regret. I promise.
and do it in production order. Don't do it in Fox TV order.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nikon.
I'm gonna cheat. So I'm not gonna recommend. I know you want me to do a film, but can I get away with just recommending Battlestar Galactica?
Yeah,
I
that's
would
fine.
be remiss.
Which one?
The new one, because he draws more influence from the new one.
Yeah.
Not only that, but I'll say this: Battlestar Galactica is the best, like, modern military drama, most accurate too, like that's ever been made. Like, if you want to look and see what like
What it's
naval
like.
military drama looks like, watch Battlestar Galactica. The backdrop is, just the unique, plating of that particular meal. But it's just so well written, so well done. And he draws a lot of influence from BSG in terms of like Squadron 42 and Star Citizen, kind of like military and all that.
And another bonus for it, if you haven't watched Battlestar Galactica, if you have watched Deep Space Nine, it's done by basically the same production crew that did Deep Space Nine. Their lead writer is and show creator is the same show creator as DS9. They have a lot of influences, but it's basically like, what could we do without the baggage of Star Trek over our heads. How can we tell drama and stories? So a lot of those esoteric ideas that were started in DS9 get pushed over into Battlestar. So, Griff, movies or television shows that people should watch to understand Star Citizen. Just one.
Yeah, I just got one. It's just that it's from a different angle, and it's the one you mentioned earlier, which is Blade Runner.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm only mentioning that because of something that had to do with Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott was originally was more doing commercials, right? But he was very meticulous about visuals. He's really visual. And the level of detail that he would go to make this movie. There's a story of the opening scene when the one Blade Runner is interviewing the guy who he thinks is a replicant. And he says that when the props guy was setting up the room, the guy told him this, and we need a coffee cup. And so the guy came with I think they said 3 to 5 coffee mugs and told Ridley, well, here you go. And Ridley got mad at him and said, no, that's not what I want. He says, well, and so the guy goes and talks to another guy who works on the crew and says, what's wrong with this, guys? It's just a coffee mug, whatever. And the guy told the prop master, he said, go back and get 100 mugs and come back with them, because he wants to see every possible type of coffee mug there is before he makes a decision. And that reminds me of Chris Roberts, right? He's so into this detail thing, and for some people, they think the detail is too much. But when you see the end result of Blade Runner, it's that level of attention to detail that actually makes that film visually stand out. And that's one of the things I like. I like the fact that I can walk up to a ship and walk up to it and see the screw name manufacturer. There are other people who don't pay attention to that. But to me, that's just somebody who pays attention to detail at that level to tell a story to me, even though some people say they don't have to. But the fact that they do, to me, I like that. I like that a lot.
I have to ask Griffin a question. You said Blade Runner, but which cut?
To be fair, I mean, the director's cut is the one that Ridley feels best about. There are 7 versions of the film. But even if you watch the theatrical version, if you're not deep into that type of thing, the film noir style of it, where he's talking over it, which everybody hated. Well, at least Harrison Ford and them hated it. The production company wanted them to do that because they thought that people were too unintelligent to figure out the film. But if you can watch the director's cut of it, watch the director's cut.
Yeah.
We were saying this beforehand, but I think it's important to note that Chris Roberts wanted to be Ridley Scott. It's clear from his sort of his direction and what he's talked about and what he wants to be Ridley Scott. He looks up to Ridley Scott a lot in terms of how he does films, how he does his storytelling, and so there's a lot of influence of Ridley Scott. Not just Aliens, but we say Blade Runner, and obviously all of the other Ridley Scott films and stuff like that are there. So you couldn't go wrong if you want to understand a little bit more about the direction and storytelling and aesthetics of Star Citizen to watch Ridley Scott movies. I'm gonna go the more I was going to say Blade Runner, but you said Blade Runner. So that the only other one I'm going to say, which I think is highly important, is Star Wars, the Empire Strikes Back, the quintessential 80s Star Wars movie. That was 81, right? Or was that because
81?
It was 80.
81.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would say
80.
80.
I got to redeem
Was it
myself
80?
After the Jason Scott Lee
77,
thing.
yeah. Because 77 was Star Wars.
I would say watch that, because that sort of dark tone is what CIG wants to hit when it comes to Star Trek with Star Wars or Star Citizen and Squadron 42. Is that sort of gray tone? Because that's one of the things that I came across when I was talking with Dave Haddock, is that they don't want to create a universe that is black and white. They want to create a universe that's shades of gray, but they don't want to make it so shades of gray that there's no good guys or bad guys. There are good guys, but they're going to have flaws, and there are bad guys, but they're going to have points. Is that sort of the way that they're developing the universe? So, and that's sort of the direction that, if you want to watch a classic space pew pew fighter movie that is, other than Battlestar Galactica in terms of a series, or the sort of world building of Serenity, or the atmospheric and sort of artistic intent of Blade Runner, then I would go with the classic Battlestar or Empire Strikes Back. You know.
Paul, real quick, I have a joke answer that I have to get off my chest.
Go ahead.
Wing Commander, because it's made by Chris Roberts.
Honestly, that is actually the best thing. If you're going to watch one movie to understand Star Citizen and Squadron 42, watch Wing Commander. And I say this with all of the love in my heart. It is not a good movie, but it's not nearly as bad as people make it out to be. I think it is.
It's got a fire soundtrack, though.
It's got a amazing
And also,
soundtrack.
Wing Commander came out with bullet time first before Matrix.
It did. It did come out before Matrix. It was the story of Wing Commander is its own freaking episode because basically when you understand Wing Commander, it's Chris Roberts was a rookie filmmaker who was given a big project, and every single time he asked for funds, the production company basically said, "We're cutting your budget." Instead of giving him more, they took away stuff. So
oh my God, the Kavasi in that movie.
Yes.
Oh my God.
It's clear you can see things like references to Das Boot, references to a little bit of references to Top Gun there here and there. You know, it's got some Star Wars references in it. Like it's you can see a lot of his references. So if you got a good solid hour and a half where you just want to put something in the background to gather how Chris Roberts does things, go watch that. Just know that it's got massive amounts of studio meddling. You know, it's also his own cameo.
Yeah, he also has a cameo in that movie, so check that out.
It's more fun watching it with other people.
Oh yeah, that is true. Definitely. Yeah, good point.
Fair warning. It will gauge your tolerance for Matthew Lillard.
Oh yes. The sad part about that movie is the best parts did not involve the main cast. All of the best actors are not the main actors.
True.
Like I can't even say his name properly. Cairo.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but yeah, I can't say his name either. But yeah,
he's like the he plays Paladin in there.
Yeah, he's great.
But even the captain of the Tiger's Claw and like all of the older actors are just like solid and are delivering performances that Chris Roberts clearly directed, and all of the younger actors clearly had no fucking idea what they were doing in that movie.
Yeah.
I'm glad my joke actually turned into a real answer. So that's the first.
It's still that even before I played,
it didn't get Paul demonetized. So there's that.
We gotta work harder, Night Cobb. We gotta work harder.
It's been a real clean topic today. I'm proud of you.
Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it.
I will finish off by saying, even before I started getting involved in Star Citizen, the broadside scene in Wing Commander is still one of the coolest fucking action scenes I have ever seen in a space movie. Give him a broadside, Mr. Jones, and that torpedo fire, those torpedo firing. It's just, it is straight out of a classic 18th century, you know,
the old fighting ships, sailing ships.
Kind of amazing.
Give him the broadside.
That and the Jack in the Box on 3. Those two lines still live in my head. And again, this was like when I was watching the movie, not even in theaters, but when it went to its like syndication on like TNT and shit like that, where it would show up every other Sunday, you know, all over the place. It was
gonna date me, but I made my parents take me to see that in the theater.
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
They just started talking to me again. It's fine. I remember got worried for a second there. It's like, you did that to them?
That's funny.
I apologize.
And I'll turn this back to and say, and of course, if you really, really want to understand what Star Citizen and Squadron 42 are going to be, go play the original Wing Commander games. They're available.
Yeah.
They give you the best idea of the genre in terms of its actual... And Freelancer and Starlancer, those games will give you the best references, because pretty much when you talk about a video game and movies are different. There's influences with movies, but video games are you see a lot of those stuff will carry over. So, all right, that's it for discussion. We're gonna head to the question and answer session, but I do want to thank Fastcart, Nightcob, and Griffin Gaming for coming on and talking about the movies that influenced Star Citizen in the verse. A little bit of more of a chaotic one, but I think we had a good time discussing a lot of that stuff. And if you did enjoy this, make sure you check out Griff and Fastcart on Soul Citizens. You can check out Nightcob sometimes on Armchair Admirals and Generals when
there's still YouTube videos up.
you're still.
We did a whole engineering one, so if you want to hear my take on engineering, like we talked about that at length, but that was even before like the systems came in game. I would actually argue it's still valid.
Yeah, there we go. And hopefully when Tree is no longer dealing with both being busy and having two tiny children, he might get back to making
twins, man.
Making content. But if you did enjoy this, hit that follow button, subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Spotify or any podcast. We go on Spotify, Apple, Google, pretty much all podcast formats. You can find us there, and that usually goes up early to those platforms. Then it goes out to YouTube for everywhere else. Or you can join us live. Twitch.tv/theastropub or youtube.com/@the-captain's-table-podcast on Saturdays at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Would love to have you come join us live and get into the next section, which we're going to talk about are questions and answers. Take questions from you, the audience, and do our best to answer them. So if you are watching this live, hang around. We'll be back here in a few moments. We're going to take a few moments to use the restroom, get something to drink and such. But for everybody else, thank you for watching. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday. The Black.